Hey guys, welcome back to Keyword Podcast. So today, let's start this episode with this question: how do you build a juice business which is as fresh as the fruit it is made from, and scale it across the city? So that is going to be today's rabbit hole. There is a small yet mighty startup budding from Bangalore. So, if you live in Bangalore, you might have already seen the vending machines in the malls, in the airport, even in the gyms. Have you guys installed it in
Not
the gym?
yet.
Not
In
yet.
the
Okay.
hospitals.
Hospitals, okay. So I think you guys were the first one to introduce vending machine in the city.
Yes. So in terms of the vending machines that you started off with, we were the first ones, maybe I should say that across India also, if you look at, to dispense bottled fresh juices
Correct.
through
Correct.
a vending machine.
So they're not selling soda or chips. So they're selling fresh juice in the vending machine. For me, it's quite a bold and innovative step. Quite risky. It may have significant, asymmetric upside if you guys get this thing right. Because vending machine for fresh juice, and that too in India. Today I'm sitting with the woman behind this. So we have Miss Preeti Nayak, the co-founder of Juice Bottle. How do you call it? Cold pressed, preservative free, fresh fruit juice.
Thank you, Clinton, first of all, for having me here.
Yes.
And it is, I wouldn't call it completely cold pressed juices. We have variants of juices, like we have a few of our juices which are cold pressed, a few are blended, a few are after heat processing.
Right.
So it's a mix of juices because not every fruit can be cold pressed.
Right. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
So I'll give up just a brief to my audience.
Yes.
They're experimenting in the Tier 2 city of India with the Tier 1 ambition. And I want to go deep. I want to cover not just about the juices, but also what it takes to run a company like this. We will explore from food tech they're using, food science, manufacturing or machinery involved, supply chain, unit economics, business model. I want to explore your thinking process, your decision framework, how do you decide, and startup realities.
Sure.
So this content would really help budding food entrepreneurs out there. And second thing, investors who are looking into invest in this space. And third, curious people like you and me. So let's get deep. And before I start, this conversation may go for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, we don't know. This is for the audience, because if you are not used to watch this lengthy conversation, so I will break this conversation down into chapters. So you can visit the chapters in the description and watch what is useful to you. So now let's get back into the conversation.
Sure.
Yes, now we can forget the camera is there. So
Okay.
yes. So how many varieties you guys have experimented in total till now?
We have around 20 plus fruit juices.
Okay.
The variants in fruits I'm talking about.
Okay.
And we have around 35 SKUs. So we have got the 300 ml bottles that goes on the retail shelves, including our vending machines and our B2B business models. Then we have 1 liter bottles which are meant for small gatherings and parties that happens at home. That's a family pack, or even if it's for like a breakfast juice and things like that. Then we also have a 150 ml bottles that goes for the catering, the events, the weddings, the conferences.
Nice.
So as a welcome drink. We
Which
consider
one is
all.
the hardest to make?
Every fruit has its own challenge. So if you look at the majority of the machine, it is mix of the manual intervention and the machine. It's not completely automated yet. If you look at the requirement of manpower in terms of making juices, grapes is the hardest because our grape juice comes with the pulp. So a lot of labor intervention is required.
To maintain
it's
that
very
pulpiness.
time consuming and things like that. But otherwise, whatever goes into the machine, it is easy to make. But it's more than in terms of the process or the technology that we use. It is the challenge is to do with the shelf life in terms of monitoring and keeping it stay fresh
Yes,
during the
yes.
shelf life. So that is one
Yeah.
challenge.
Let's get into vending machines. I want to explore from the vending machine.
Okay.
Like, what made you bet on vending machine? I mean, what did you see or feel to take that bold step? I mean, people aren't used to vending machine in India, especially the culture in a consumer market. Like, mindset of consumer here is they want to see things happen. Like, if I want a fresh juice,
Understood.
I want to see people cut fruit, put it in the mixer, and that mixing process, people behind the counter, that human contact. So that is like Indian. I mean, that is ingrained. Our consumer psychology is that way.
Okay. So a little, I'll have to take you back
Yes.
into 2022
Sure.
when we started.
Sure. 2022 is the founding
2022
day
is
of,
when we launched our business. That is Ganesh Naik, that's my husband, and we've co-founded this in 2022. When we started, the format was to have multiple shops selling our juices. So we started off with Our Lady Hill store, and we had another store and things like that. That's how we started off with. Then we wanted to have multiple places. We also ventured into B2B. So we started selling it to institutions like hospitals, theaters, restaurants, because they found it very easy. Something which is, they did not have to invest on the labor, they did not have to invest on the infrastructure, they did not have the pain of buying fruits on a regular basis, manage the price, stock and things like that. They're getting something which is ready to sell. The first 1.5 years was just the retail, the
Distribution.
quick commerce and the B2B business is what we were doing. And for any business to thrive, you need to have multiple selling points. But for our product, being the fact that it is fresh fruit juices without any preservatives, it's very natural as it can get. Our shelf life is totally depending on some of the processes and some of the machinery that we use, plus the refrigeration, the temperature controls. So what happens is we cannot really keep our juices in every nook and corner of the city, because it needs to be backed up with 24/7
cold storage.
yes, power backup.
Correct.
It needs to be continuously under refrigeration. So there can't be any power outage and things like that.
Correct,
Those kind of.
correct.
So that's where we faced a challenge, and we saw some places where people in the night, they have a habit of when they close the shop, they shut the power and
supply,
go.
right.
So it leads to spoilage in our product and things. So as we were exploring, we understood and this eliminates the involvement of manpower also. It becomes very convenient. It can be
Correct.
made available 24/7. We can, the vending machine gives you the benefit of monitoring it remotely. You have it equipped completely with a back-end software that gives you at any point in time the inventory levels.
Correct.
What is the
Status.
It dispenses juices on first in first out basis. So a lot of processes became very easy for us to do business with a vending machine. So we
Right.
were exploring as to how we can integrate technology into our business. So
Right.
vending machines came in as a big help in our system. So that is how we started. We tested Mangalore market with vending machines in the year 2024. March, we installed our first machine at Bharat Mall and then at the airport. Over a year, we watched how it goes, how we are able to monitor it, manage it, refill it, and things like that. It went really well.
You call it
made our
success?
life, yes, it made our life quite, happy and very easy
Right,
to track.
right.
So that's when we thought, okay, fine. Was the idea of coming up with juice bottle is to make it accessible to everybody at different points in the city. So
Right.
that's how we installed more machines, and we have got 26 machines right
Brilliant.
now across the
26
city. 26
machines.
vending
Wow.
machines, all the shopping malls, majority of the hospitals, and 2 apartment complexes we have covered so far.
And one at the airport.
Yes, at the airport, yes.
You should have installed in the gym first because it's a
in
healthy
the
drink.
apartment, wherever we've installed into the apartments that I've mentioned, it's in the near to the gym. So as people move out after their workout,
Right.
yes, we are exploring more gym spaces as well. Yeah.
So the logic for vending machine wasn't to cut out the middleman, but was mainly for for preserving the juice to increase the shelf life, right?
The vending
But the
machine was
benefit
to make it
was
more accessible to people.
okay. Mhm.
So, and it becomes easy to manage.
Yeah, it
because
solves a
not
lot of problems, right? Dealing
Yeah.
with people, collecting payments. You get the real-time status of the juice
Definitely,
sales.
definitely. Yes, that's one point I
And,
missed out actually.
right.
Because with the government of India's, they're pushing everybody to use UPI, the digital payments. It has really helped us well because our vending machine is an automated machine which dispenses juices on the UPI payments.
Right.
So it becomes very easy for us to, as you said, in
Correct.
terms of monitoring the payments and receipts. So there's absolutely no problem, hassles in terms of waiting for the payments and things
Right.
like that. Yes.
And even margin negotiating with the retailers and
Margins we have fixed. All
Right.
our resellers have been really, I should say, being in Mangalore, the advantage, starting in your own hometown, the advantage was that you kind of know people around you. And when we started talking to people for giving us a space or, reselling our products, requesting them to resell our products, they've been highly supportive.
One more biggest hurdle in vending machine is the ease of use. Can you walk me through the process of this vending machine? How easy it is to use. I walked up to a juice bottle machine. What happens next, step by step?
India being one of the biggest mobile users with the highest number of mobile using penetration in the country, and people are used to using all kinds of order their food on Swiggy, Zomato, order their food on Amazon. Order their items on Amazon, Flipkart. People are used to it now, even at any level I'm talking about.
Right.
Even your small time vegetable vendors also collect using UPI these days. So in terms of using it,
No,
this
in
was
terms
a
of
doubt.
payment, it's not a big deal. But in terms of selecting drinks,
it is very, very simple. It has a display. Our vending machines is equipped with a display screen which has all the products with the picture displayed on it. So you know what it is. You just have to select the product that you want. And if you want multiple, like let's say you want grape juice and you want 2 or 3. So you just keep
Quantity
adding.
also.
Yes. And then you want mango juice. You add 1 mango or 2 mango as per what is it required. It immediately shows you what is your total amount. You click on the pay, scan using
Then
your UPI
okay.
platform. Immediately the scanning happens, the machine detects, senses that the payment has been received. It dispenses the. So it just hardly takes, I think, 10 to 20 seconds for somebody to operate.
to get the one drink out.
Even a child can do it because these days everybody is mobile friendly, because of which it becomes
Right.
very easy platform for people to use.
What is the unique consumer behavior you have seen people while using the vending machine?
About what I've seen is sometimes the machines are machines. It also goes through some amount of technical errors, not very regular, but it is rare. So there are times that the sensors doesn't behave the way it is supposed to be sometimes, and juices were not dispensed even after payment. But the system immediately refunds. So, but
Okay.
what happens is sometimes customers do not have the patience. We've already put up a notice saying that if the money is not refunded for whatsoever reason, the machine is not dispensed juices, the payment will be refunded in 2 hours time. So in case that's not refunded, you can call a number. But for some reason, they do not realize that, they keep checking their UPI account, whether the money is come, because UPI doesn't give you doesn't reflect the refunded amount.
Correct.
It only goes to your bank account. So you need to check your. It happens immediately. It happens actually within few minutes. The refund goes within few minutes. It even hits your account in few minutes. But sometimes people don't realize it. Maybe that's
One of the things you've
that I work as a call center
Right.
executive also
Multiple hats.
sometimes. Yes. So we get calls on those things as it's not reflecting. So that is something
So
they
the
understand.
technical errors do happen from the machine.
Technical errors do happen because at the end of the day, it is a machine.
Right.
Like
But I'm kind of curious now, how you guys are the first movers. Nobody has bought a vending machine, not just in Mangalore, but across India.
Okay.
So how did you guys figure out that chain? How did you guys brainstorm? Whom did you meet? And how was that ideation to reality of that vending machine
Vending
happened?
machines. So when we thought of installing vending machines, research starts as to which company manufactures and who are the contact points, and anywhere else in Mangalore, already an installed machine is there. Who are the, where is it manufactured, from which country, what is their, service, after sales service is all about. Thankfully, even before we started and when we were in the ideation stage of our business, not even vending machine, we've got a lot of mentors. Throughout our this business of setting up juice bottle, for me and Ganesh, there's been a lot of mentors, real mentors from the food industry, from the business industry, who's been guiding us, helping us, giving us insights on each time we reach out to them. So we had people whom we could reach out to, and Google these days gives a lot of information. So we can always, we always try and find, if we find a manufacturer's place, then we find a common connect somewhere. LinkedIn is there. So there are a lot of connection points. The machine that we are using is something which is being used by one of the largest beverage manufacturers in the world, Coca-Cola. So we got a lot of confidence, knowing that, yes, they've been using it. So that's how we narrowed down to this particular company who is manufacturing. It's not an Indian brand, but they manufacture the machines in India. So we are using their vending machines.
Oh, they're manufacturing it in India.
They're manufacturing it in India.
Nice.
But it's not an Indian brand. That's how we got in touch with them. It took us some time because we really had to look at the pros and cons of each brand. We had to reach out to them, understand how it works. This support, support also matters, because here in this vending machine, we do have a full-time, backup team who supports us with if there is anything goes wrong, if there is any software integration, and they're also on their toes working every day to upgrade their system.
There are humans behind the machine.
Yes, definitely. I mean, when you have machine, you need more humans to manage it, and that's how it is. And if I really have to say, what we see from this particular manufacturer's vending machine suppliers side is that we have got support day in and day out, and they've modified a lot of their software, notifications, alerts, because this is the first time even for them somebody is using. Coca-Cola uses, it's a carbonated beverage.
Right.
Even if the power goes, the temperature is not monitored, not controlled. If it's not first in, first out, nothing happens. So a lot of customization in the software they've done for us, and even including hardware in terms of alerts.
Nice.
And when the power goes, we get an alert in 10 minutes time.
Right.
So a lot of...
so inbuilt power is there, or you have to, when you get the alert and then you have to...
No, power backup. We have installed the machines only in places where there is 24/7 power backup. So when in case... Usually it starts immediately. In case for some reason the machine is not started, we get an alert.
Right. That's
and
nice.
Because the lifeline of our juices is power.
Right.
If the power is not there, our juice is of no use. We are losing out on that much of business and stock. So it's very important that the power is. So we get alerts if the machine has gone offline, if the display is not working, if the temperature has gone below. That is something which we've asked them for, is not done yet, but that's happening.
Which one?
Temperature, because for us we need to keep our juices below a particular temperature to have the shelf life.
How much temperature
complete.
It needs?
It's below 4 degrees. 4 and below,
okay.
4 degrees.
Which is the max, shouldn't reach below it, like 0 to 4 degrees.
Yes,
Celsius.
0 to 4. Yeah, so below that it shouldn't go, because it goes into freezing stage and things like that. So these things, they're doing it.
Customized for you guys.
They're taking our inputs and they're doing it, because even for them, it's the first time that somebody is dispensing fresh juices, bottled juices through them. There are vending machines which has a live, vending kind of a thing. You may have seen orange juices. Like if you go outside, or even if in India metros and all, you've got those orange juice. You have the oranges that goes through the machine in the cup that juice gets. It's a live thing. But here, the bottled fresh juices, which need shelf life to be maintained, temperature control to be maintained, it's for them also, it's a first time experience.
Right.
So, but they've come forward and they've taken all our requirements and have worked on it.
Nice.
So that has helped.
So if you guys scale, they also get a nice,
definitely,
they also scale it. Nice. So how often do you guys restock these things? Like, who is running around the city making sure every machine is filled with juice?
Yes. So
this is first in, first out. So let's break it down. What is first in, first out?
First in, first out is nothing but what is manufactured today. If it has a shelf life of 10 days, it has to be finished within that 10 days. So if I'm restocking my machine, I do not wait for my machine to get emptied completely
Correct.
for the next refilling to happen. So I have a minimum order level that I've kept, and I get to know it from tracking the system. So once we reach that level, we do the next round of manufacturing and we send it. So some juices which are manufactured on 25th of May is already there in the machine. And we're sitting on 30th. Let's say 30th manufactured goods are going in to be refilled today. So machine needs to be updated at the back end that 25th manufactured things have to go out completely, and then only the 30th has to start.
Wow, that
So
level
the
it is
first
customized it to
manufactured-
you.
yes.
Nice.
First
The time stamping.
manufactured products should go out first, so that customer also will have a good experience. We will also not have wastage, the products getting wasted, because randomly things are getting dispensed. It becomes difficult,
Right.
Customer will have a bad experience.
So when you restock into the machine, you will feed, okay, this product
Yes.
today says 25th. And
Yes.
machine will recognize every item that was fed that time. It will time tag, day tag the product.
we do
with
that at the back end. So that is first in, first out. In terms of refilling, as I was saying, we have a refilling staff. A day in advance, we check the if the machine has reached the reorder levels. So accordingly, we plan the production. Production happens on the day of production. The juices go
So
out
how many days advance you plan the production plans?
a day in advance.
Day in advance, one day.
Advance. Yeah. Or let's say that if it's something has to be filled on 31st, on 31st of May, 29th evening, we take a stock of things. We plan it. 30th, the production will happen. 31st, it will get refilled in the machine.
So if I have to refill it in 31st,
On 31st,
so
29th,
you will take the
evening,
data of the 28th.
End of day, 29th, we'll have a stock level. We know what will sell for the next one day. So accordingly, we'll plan what needs to be the refilling stock for 31st.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And how about if you guys are introducing new drink? Would there be any complication in the UI of the display?
Nothing.
Right?
At the back end, we can change.
You guys can add
Yes,
pictures
the
of the new
are already-
products.
Yeah,
and,
you can add new product at the back end. You can update. You can give an image so that will reflect at the.
Nice. Even you
display.
guys can change the price, everything in the back end.
Yeah, in case we do revise our products mostly once a year, because fruit prices are
Right.
very
Fluctuating,
dynamic.
Right.
We don't do every now and then, because even in a year we see a lot of changes, and when there is shortage, the price is shooting up and things like that. But we don't change it every now and then. But yearly, when we see that this particular fruit has been undergoing a lot of changes, then we revise the thing, so we can update the pricing.
Nice. Suppose I want to run a brownie business, okay, and I'm thinking of using a vending machine to dispense brownies. So what advice you would give me if I were to go with this strategy, like brownie for vending machine?
Okay.
Sorry, vending machine for brownies.
Brownies.
Yeah.
Okay. There are machines which dispenses ice creams also. So what advice I would give is, see, there is a lot of micromanagement, especially in perishable products like a
Right.
brownie. So if you're really doing it without preservatives and things like that, so it has a limited shelf life.
Correct.
So a lot of micromanagement, a lot
So
of
shelf
planning.
life is 7 days. Yeah, let's
Yes,
suppose.
so 7 days. So you need to have the planning in such a way that the production happens and the refilling happens and customer gets to use it without losing
Yeah, smooth
that
without them
yes,
realizing
yes.
the
Without,
complications.
you shouldn't be losing out even one day.
Hmm.
See, maximum that you can lose is one day, that you produce today and then tomorrow you refill it, so that
Right,
the customers can start buying it. So you are not losing out on the 1 days or 2 days time on your product. A lot
So
of
vending machine
micromanagement.
is wonderful, right? So you get the real-time data.
Yes,
you don't have to call the the distributors, how much it got sold, how much you need, everything you have, and it eases your work a lot.
Yes, it eases our work when we are looking at, let's say that we need to move beyond Mangalore. Mangalore, working with our resellers has been very easy, because they're always
You guys know each other, there's
one is
trust
we
and-
know each other. There are people we do not know each other also. For some reason or the other, we've been able to tackle. It was limited number. We had around 15 resellers, so it was easy to manage. But if you have to go to a bigger tier 1 city like a Bangalore, it becomes a chaotic situation. So in which case, the vending machine will do wonders.
How do you describe what juice bottle is? I mean, not in a elevator pitch or not a marketing line. If you were telling juice bottle to your friend or maybe a stranger in the cafe, if you were explaining what juice bottle is, so what is this thing you have built and what does it actually feel like to you?
I would say juice bottle is a bottle of freshness and goodness. Our bottle has taste as fresh as it is made on day one, even till the end of the shelf life. And because we do not do any processing and preservatives and artificial flavors to it, it gives you the freshness of the fruit
Right.
that is used to make it.
It's quite raw.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is
There's no polishing or perfection. This is as
Nothing.
real as the fruit.
nothing. And the taste. Because a lot of bottled juice brands, you don't get the taste of the real fruit in it. When it undergoes different processing or in terms of whatever that has been added to it, or it is a reconstituted juice, it may not be made from the real fruits at that point in time when it was bottled. So you don't get the real taste. So here, you're giving them, our customers, the real taste of the fruits that is used without losing its freshness. See, when you cut the fruit, juice it, you don't exactly get the same, the sweetness gets reduced. A mango that is cut and juiced, it will not have the same sweetness of when you're eating it.
Interesting.
So what we usually do is we have tools in place which measures the sweetness. We've set a benchmark sweetness level for all our juices. So if you drink mango juice today with this particular sweetness level, even 1 month later, you will have
Same consistency.
Yes, same consistency in terms of the sweetness. So we add very minimal sugar to get that
Nice.
level. So sometimes if the fruit is really sweet, again, fruits are not in our hands. It's not
Right,
artificially
right.
made. It's naturally, it's from the nature. So sometimes depending on the months, depending on the season, there
Right.
may be changes in the orange, the taste of orange, the taste of mango, the taste of pineapple.
That is one additive you add. Just sugar, nothing else. Nothing.
No preservatives, no flavors, no stabilizers, nothing in the name of antioxidants which acts as preservatives. No, we make our juices, we procure our fruits on a daily basis. So we know what is our production. As I said, we plan a day in advance. We know what is needed to be produced on 31st. So we place our order with our fruit supplier. End of the day, that will be supplied for next day. So it's fresh fruits that will be used everyday procurement, and it will be used for the production. So maximum maybe 2 days it will be there with us, not beyond that.
Okay, where did this obsession on fresh fruit juice came from?
I think fresh fruits and juices have been part of all our lives, maybe on the breakfast table, or maybe when you're out
Right.
shopping, or we're all
But at what
obsessed
point
with-
did you zoom into the decision of turning that everyday part into a business?
This was pre-COVID. That was just after a bit of maternity break and things like that. And I've been always working and wanted to start something
On your
of
own.
our own. Our own, I would say. Ganesh was already into the family business, but we wanted to go beyond the family business and start something. He being the third generation in the business. So we also wanted to have something of our own in this, and something that we have created. So we were definitely looking out for as to what is it that we need to venture into. But, things doesn't come just like that. A lot of... and juice bottle came out of, as a result of a lot of observations that we've had. See, everybody loves having fresh fruit juices. The feel it gives you, the benefit of hydration, the benefit of vitamins and nutrients, or whatever it gives for you. But is it, easily accessible is the first question. It's not easily accessible unless you go to a corner juice bar, wait for your juice to be made.
There also fruit is not fresh. So-
That's what I'm coming to. What happens in a fruit juice, except for some of the really well doing juice shops, which has like 500 plus walk-ins in a day. So the turnover is good. The fruits are, every day they are procuring their fruits. They get fresh fruits, and things are moving out. But what happens to any other juice shop wherein it's just okay, maybe 20 customers, 30 customers, 50 customers. So they do not get to procure the juices unless they fruits on a daily basis, because they need to pick it up in bulk to get the price advantage.
Right.
It stays with them for 4-5 days, whatever, till it kind of goes through its
Right.
life stage. Most of the time we see dried up, dehydrated form pomegranate, apples, half cut open watermelons, papayas, same blenders being used for milkshake, juices,
Right.
not washed, not very hygienically managed. All these things can be masked. People want freshness and taste. So these things can be masked by putting a lot of ice.
Correct.
So where does that ice come from? What water is used? What is the stage of the fruit, in
Correct.
which decomposition stage it is? It can be masked with a lot of sugar
Correct.
being added to it.
Correct.
So what goes into it, although it's made right in front of your eyes or it's made for you then and there, but what is it that you've consumed? And something that we have understood, as a first step, we felt, okay, there is a gap. That we need to address. First step that we did was we hired a few project trainees from a college in Mangalore. We asked them to visit all the fruit juice shops in the city to understand. One is to observe, and the next is to talk to them and understand what
Wow.
happens.
So professional.
Yes, we had to do it because we wanted to know what moves, how much moves, at what pricing people pick it up, and what happens behind the scenes. And people who come there, what is it that they're looking for? So basically, they get to speak to the staff at the counter. They got to speak to the customers, understand their behavior, and also look at what kind of a hygiene or what kind of processes are being taken place. So it has given as an idea as to what is it that needs to be bridged in the market. See, as a parent, if I go out, I'm talking about before juice bottle, if I'm moving around the city, what is it that I would like to give my child? I may get a Tropicana, I may get maybe I shouldn't be taking names. So I would get
No,
a
you can
packaged,
take,
I
yeah.
should get a packaged juice, because I feel it's a big brand. It is centrally manufactured. There are a lot of protocols that are being followed for it to be hygienically managed. What goes into it? Definitely good quality reconstituted pulp or the powders or fruit powder things that has gone into it. But still, there's a lot of flavors, natural identical flavors, a lot of preservatives goes into it. But I still feel that's more safe option for me to give it to my child. So we did the first round of market research using the interns. We got data as to what is the behavior, what is the consumer behavior, what is happening in the market, what is the pricing, how they are procuring. The next,
Which fruit sells fast?
Yes, the next step was in terms of identifying the fruit vendor.
So did you guys register the company yet or yet to?
Yes, it is trademark registered. As soon as the name came out, we finalized on the name.
When you guys decided to market research with these interns, was it just to understand the market gap and get more data, or was it done after the registration of the company? You guys made a...
It was done as the first step. The market
First step,
research was
okay.
done as the first step.
To take a clear data-driven
understand.
decision.
Because unless we know if this is what we need to step into, there's no point in registering as a trademark or as a company, because that's also a lot of financial involvement is there.
Then you started speaking to fruit vendors.
Before talking to the fruit vendors, we started buying fruits from the market. We started experimenting in our own kitchen. So our my mother-in-law's kitchen became our testing place. A lot of trial and errors. We procured bottles. Bottles as in not the bottle in the current format that it is.
Just to experiment.
Yes, just to experiment. We procured PET bottles to see how the shelf life, yes, because unless and until like how much time does it give, we can't get into a viable business. We need to know whether this product is going to stay till the time it moves out of the shelf.
Right.
That's very important.
What fruit did you guys use for the first experiment?
We used a mix of fruits. Yeah, we started off with watermelon, musambi, pineapple, everything we experimented. So we had formulated some recipes. We tried a lot of trial and error. Then we reached a stage, somewhere we liked okay, we liked a bottle of pineapple juice that we've made today, a bottle of watermelon juice we've made today, a bottle of. So when Ganesh and I liked, we tested with our family
Okay.
members.
So the
They
main
said
part of this experiment was shelf life, no? How long it will
shelf
come.
life, taste, because taste is very important, whether the people are
Right.
going to accept it or not. You can make, it may look good to you, but what about others?
Right.
It's a taste is something which is very personal, right?
Right.
So you should arrive at something which is neutral, which is common, which can be liked by, which will be perceived as good by everybody. So it's not like something which Preeti likes may not be something which Clinton likes. So we had to do the taste testing also. Shelf life is definitely one major part of it. Before that, we finalized the recipes and we checked. Once we liked what we were doing with, then we tested it with our family members. Then we tested it with, I'm sure, around 500 to 750 people. We gave samples,
A
free
lot of
samples.
fruit.
We used, very productively, we had a lot of time in hand during COVID
okay.
time. So we went around, we supplied juices to our friends. One of our friends were coming up with a function. We voluntarily said, we'll do this. This is after taking first level of feedback. We had given it to some 100,
So
200
you guys
people.
get the estimation on the scale. Like
Yes.
if you guys scale it, how much would it cost and those things.
That also, yes. After giving the juice to them, we took the feedback. We had also given them a questionnaire to all the people who've tasted. We asked them, what is it that you didn't like about it? What is it that you liked about it? What is that we can change, improvise upon, and what is the price that you would pay for it?
Interesting.
So all those things we tested. It took us quite a bit of time. We did again based on the feedback. Majority, whatever has come in as a majority feedback, we reworked on the product.
Right. How did you experiment with the shelf? Like, did you keep it separate outside or in the cold storage?
We used to mark each bottles.
Interesting.
Initially, we used to have different recipes for pineapple juice. We had different recipes, different water, different sugar levels, pineapple with different combinations of fruits we had tried. So we used to mark each bottles and then keep it in the fridge for a number of days. Then we feel that on fifth day also it is still tasting good. Then we kept it for a few more days and checked. So that's how we arrived at shelf life.
So you
and
also
things
had an
like
Excel
that.
sheet ready to feed the data.
Yes, we always work on Excel sheets.
Nice. Okay.
Yes. There is a lot of trial and error. We had approached a lot of food technologists, food scientists who did definitely help us with their insights and all those things. But somehow we didn't go for a full-time consultant for us. So we did a lot of trial and error on us, our own. We did definitely. We went to CFTRI, we went to DRDL in Mysore. Then we've met one of the retired food scientists from Kisan, all through different connections that we have got from our mentors. And
How meeting them changed, like what particular aspect?
it will give a different perspective to what you're thinking. See, something
Like?
that you're working with fresh fruits, the shelf life, the temperature maintenance, the nutritional information, a lot of different people coming together has given a lot of different perspective of looking at things.
Different angles
How
to
it
look
needs
at.
to be in terms of, how you can do the nutritional information calculation. This was one of the input that has come from person, how you need to calculate and what what kind of thing should go on your label. So that has helped from a food technologist. And in terms of shelf life, somebody who's worked in the beverage field has helped in terms of how the temperature changes can impact your juices, how it needs to be constantly monitored.
Nice.
A lot of inputs had come in at different point in time from different people. Then once we finalized, yes, we are getting into it, then the vendor finalization, who will supply the fruit supplier. So the search started for that. We started procuring from a few people. Then we narrowed down, okay, this person supplies the best, or he has been constantly supplying it. Where some people do not pick up your calls. All those things comes into the picture. So we always have to look for long-term who
Okay.
can do it.
So
Because
you guys were figuring it out, taste, shelf life, supplier, feedback, everything in
yes,
once. Right?
and the bottle in which it needs to, what shape it needs to look at. If we need to have an automatic label applicator, then is it a square bottle? Is it a
Right.
cylindrical shape bottle? So what works best? So a lot of thinking has gone into it, a lot of
That too,
brainstorming.
without any food science background, right? You don't
No,
have
both
a
of
food science.
us do not have, except for the fact that we both are foodies.
At what point you made a decision, okay, this will click?
Working with fresh fruits without preservatives is very challenging. Again, shelf life. If it doesn't sell off, then what happens? It can end up, it's a big risk that we're taking. So that kind of feedback, genuine feedback came to us for us to think on those lines also. Because once
What
we're
is the
working
worst
on
case
something,
scenario?
yes,
Yeah.
because we get really excited. Something which we are very interested in, something which we're very passionate, we're really working on it. We put in a lot of time and then we really want it to go live. Sometimes we fail to see the worst case scenario, as you said. So some
Right.
people have even told. One feedback that we've got that your juices are not as sweet as that is available. Because mango, you may have tasted it is sweet enough, but there are some of our juices which is not very minimal sugar we add. So it is not as sweet as what is available. So keeping the healthier part in mind, we have done that. So they've told it will not work in this kind of a market where people prefer things with
Sugar.
extra sugar and things. So we've got a lot of feedback from all perspectives. So then we decided, yes, we need to do something.
So do you remember how it felt when you earned your first rupee from a real customer? Not a friend, not family, but someone who believed enough to pay.
Yeah, on the inauguration day, I think we completely got sold out. That gave us confidence and also...
But that was inauguration
Yes,
day.
yes,
What
that was
happened with
inauguration.
after
But
inauguration day?
after inauguration also, but again, anything new in the market, Mangaloreans are ready to try. So people would always want to come and try. So the initial month was also good. But then we have seen both ups and downs in terms of how...
That's an interesting pattern. So when you start a food business, if it's
Slightly
something
it will be
quite
little-
unique, you would have a spike when you start.
Initially, yes.
Then after that fad,
Slightly
slow.
flattened. Then you need to do a lot of marketing. Initial hype is there because you do a lot of advertisement,
Right,
word of
right,
mouth.
right.
Somebody has tried, they say this, that. Then it slowly dies down. What we did was to keep the spark alive was that we participated in every possible exhibitions, stalls that come our way as a marketing way. So we ensured that we were there in every place. Because we wanted people to try out. So, but we knew that once they try out, they would come back. The first 2.5 years, we were there everywhere. Ganesh and I, we were standing at the stalls, selling juices ourselves. We had other stuff, but we were there. We were explaining what it is all about. We were trying and connecting with the customer. So when Honor stands and talks, the passion reflects in their
Right.
words and, the entire approach. So people connect better. So we used to do that.
Were you scared at any point after starting? Or
If,
did we make a right decision, or shall we back out?
It was not about shall we back out. As I said, I'm not from a business background. I've always been working before venturing into it. But Ganesh being a very highly risk-taking person, he's from day one or even before we started, he was very confident. And there were times that I as a person have felt low. Okay, are we in the right direction? Is it happening? Especially in the first monsoon after we started. When the business, we had seen that spike during summer, like the December to May, it was completely nice, good business. Then you see June, July,
Right.
it's tapered down. Then, what happened? So that used to, make me feel, oh my God, are we in the right direction? So what happens in those situations? So do we need to really bring in any other products and things like that? So he always says, keep cool. We are in the right direction. We're doing everything that we can to keep our brand going in the right direction. So
Even if you don't admire the companies like Tropicana, so do you take any learnings from big brands like them, like not just in product, but how they understand human nature?
any big players, we take a lot of learnings. See, if you take Coca-Cola, the way it is made, it's present in every nook and corner of
Across the globe,
Even
in Africa.
Everywhere,
Right,
everywhere that you go, they have their presence. Whatever is that product, we still drink Coca-Cola. Everybody around drinks Coca-Cola. And that's the impact that it has created as an organization. I'm just taking an example.
Right. Absolutely.
The branding.
And if Coca-Cola is not available in Africa, any part of Africa, that means political instability is there. Something is happening wrong in that
place. Yes.
That kind of impact Google has created.
Yes. So how a brand can, to that extent, it's
Be
a bigger
available.
player
Right,
because we are aspiring to be like them. Maybe not in the nature of the product, but in terms of the volumes, in
Presence.
terms of the presence, in terms of the scalability. Then there are a lot of players in terms of how they position their brand, how they get into the the human minds, how they associate, the way their advertising is positioned.
Like
if I
one
can
example.
take Paper Rocket, how they bring back that paperboard. Sorry,
Right,
what did
right.
I say? I'm sorry.
Paper
Yeah,
Rocket.
paperboard. Yeah.
Yes.
The element of nostalgic, that going back to that childhood memories, how they bring in that sense of a thing into their advertisement.
Right. What
How
was
they
the first product? It was a quite hit, no? Like raw mango. What was the first product?
They had their first product. I'm not really sure. What was their first product,
That
but
really
yeah.
tapped into that nostalgic thing.
Yes.
Right.
So they have that, those advertisement where it goes at childhood memories, and you look at that mango being sliced in some of their advertisements. Those memories. So how advertisement can be used as a powerful medium. So that's a big learning for us. So we've not been able to do that yet. We need to do a lot of work to reach that stage.
Right.
So different learnings from different people. And in terms of how our product needs to, one is of course the taste and freshness. Once we got the taste and freshness, we also want our product to look good. Give that look
Visual
to that
appeal.
Yes, the visual appeal, because what you see, that your eyes are the first senses that catch, okay, fine, do I need that product or not? So when you look at the bottle, it needs to look perfect. The alignment of how the label is put, how the nutritional information, how that label has been designed. Our designer for label had to do a lot of iterations based on our feedback to arrive at the final cut.
Right.
So we had that we still have that very big aspirations to be there. So we want to align ourselves to those bigger brands in various ways.
So what's this Panak?
Panak is a very traditional drink, not specific to Mangalore, but even in other places. In the temples they serve, during festivals they serve. It's a very healthy thing. It's made with jaggery. It's spicy. It's a mix of sweet, spicy combination. It has all good ingredients. It has got black jaggery, dry ginger, black pepper, lemon. All of things which are good for your health, for your digestion, for your cold, cough. This is something which you can even heat up and have. Like during monsoon, if somebody is not keeping well, they can even slightly warm it up and have.
I recall my mom's kashaya.
Yes, it's something similar to that. So something which is from the region also we wanted to try. That's my mother-in-law's recipe. So we didn't do a lot of trial and error with that.
There's a strong aftertaste.
Yes.
Let's get into the realities now of everyday life. The challenges of running a fresh fruit business, because this isn't any kind of software. So we are dealing with the real fruit, real time, real problems, dealing with perishables, with weather, with machines, unpredictable demand, a lot of complication running this business. I mean, people may think even if I hadn't thought deeper into this topic, I would have just thought fresh fruit business. Sounds so simple, but let's peel that layer one by one. I want to see the challenges. So what do you think is the biggest challenge you're facing running this business? Challenges in the sense everyday reality, like about the fruit, everything, and why it's challenging, and how are you overcoming that? So what is the biggest challenge of running a fresh fruit business?
Okay. So initially, as I said, was finding the right supplier.
Okay.
Because sometimes our few suppliers whom we tried from, they used to supply, there's something called second-hand fruits in the market, which is not looking good, which has got maybe some damage. I was surprised to know that one of our vendor asked us initially as to why do you need good quality first grade fruits for your juice. At the end of the day, you're making fruit juices. You can use this because it's getting blended, it's getting into the bottle, and then people are drinking, and then that's it. Because majority of the fruit juice shops procure second graded juice because it's made right in front of you. You put ice, you put sugar, you mask the taste, and you give, which is okay. But for us, we need to keep our juices for 10 days, some of our juices for 1 month without any preservatives. So we need to be very, very sure that our fruit is handpicked. So we told finally when we finalized on one person, so he doesn't deal with all fruits, but he has agreed to pick up fruits from other people, sort it and give it to us. So in terms of the size, some of our machinery handles same size. We need same size oranges. We need same size Mosambis to be processed together. So he, even to that extent, he sorts, he picks up the product and sort it and send it to us. So the damage for us is very, very less.
So finding a supplier was challenging.
Was very challenging. And even in watermelons, from outside it looks good. One small piece or a part of the watermelon is spoiled, it cannot get into the juice because we make juices batch wise. So a lot of micromanagement, my staff had to be educated. Even for them, it was a different experience.
Upskilling is another challenge.
It is because they're not really very educated people. So training, drilling it into their brain that, okay, it is fresh fruit juice. You cannot use spoiled. In case you find something spoiled, you cannot use. You need to put in a lot of efforts to see what you're cutting, what you're slicing, in terms of washing, keeping it clean, keeping the machines clean after juicing. So all of those things were very challenging initially. Because even one small piece of pineapple or watermelon goes into it.
It's still a challenge. Sorting the right fruit.
Around 50 odd juices when we make in one particular batch, the entire batch gets spoiled.
So you can't fail in detecting the wrong fruit.
No, we can't.
So even one fruit gets wrong, then your whole batch production would...
So that's why when they go, even at the end of the day, when they wind up, they need to check. So first when the fruit comes, they check. First, the vendor side, they usually check and send. Here, again, they do a one round of check. And again, in the evening, they do check.
So when you're checking a fruit, what do you check from the outside? Can you make out if the fruit is good from the outside?
Yeah, from mango, if you look at, you will understand. More or less, you will understand whether the fruit is good or not.
Do you touch and see the texture, softness, hardness?
If it is ripened, then what they need to do, they need to segregate it. If it's not ripened, then that needs to be handled separately. If something is gone extra ripened, so they'll have to dispose it off. So all those things have to be handled. So that was initially a challenge. So now they've also grown with us. They've also understood.
You guys have standardized the process.
Yes, we have standardized the process. We have standardized the recipes, and now they know. So they've also evolved with us. So that was one challenge.
So yes, next, what is the next challenging thing? How about shelf life? The shelf life is the biggest challenge of running a fresh fruit,
that is something which we have
no control.
Kind of managed. Yes, we have learned over a period of time. So 3 years have given us a lot of learnings. So I think in the first 1 year itself, we have reached a stage where our wastage remained below 1-2%.
What is the shelf life of that juice?
Mango, all 10 days. 10 days from the date of manufacturing.
So
only if it is refrigerated, continuous refrigeration below 4 degrees.
So if that product is taken out for maybe 10 minutes and you put it back into refrigeration, would that kind of affect in the shelf life?
10 minutes is okay.
Okay.
But it is, let's say that it is out for half an hour. Advised to drink and finish it.
Okay.
Why? Because see, once it is exposed to the ambient temperature, there are chances that the contamination may start in the bottle. So it is advised and it is recommended from the safety point of view that you drink it.
That is a challenge, right?
Always advise. Yeah, that was another thing that we need to educate our customers. When you take it from here, please immediately do not go for further shopping, activities. If you're going there, we always used to tell them, are you going back home straight? So that was one education that we had to do with our customers, that these are fresh fruit juices. So if you make it at home and keep it outside, then what happens? The similar thing would happen here also. So please take it home and immediately refrigerate it if you're looking for having it maybe 2 days, 3 days later.
What happens when your supply chain fails for even 1 day?
There has been experiences, as I said, vending machines, because majority of our business happens through vending machines. So if there is a power outage and the compressor is not working, power outage in the sense it happens rarely because there is power backup, which automatically starts. So in case it doesn't start, or in case if the compressor has given up, then there are very rarely those situations has happened. Very initially, when we had only 2 vending machines to start off, this has happened. We had to dispose of the juices. Then we got all these alerts and everything in place. So we requested the company to give us notifications when the machine is not working. Then we have got temperature controls inside the cooler. So somebody is always monitoring. At different intervals, we are always looking at if the temperature is going below this or not. Below 4, above 4. If it's going above 4, to what extent it goes, for how long does it stay? So above this, then it's always calls for immediate action. Somebody goes, shift the juices immediately into refrigeration, and then the maintenance work starts. So all of those controls are in place right now.
How do you balance freshness and shelf life without compromising the taste? Like, it's a 2 different battles, no? Freshness and shelf life.
Right quality of fruits and raw materials. The machines that are used, if it's cold pressing, so what machinery? Majority of our machineries are very compact machineries, but we have procured it all international standard machinery. We had to do a lot of research to finalize on something.
Why that matters in the fresh fruit?
Cold pressing gives better freshness, better shelf life, because it doesn't develop heat during the process. That's one thing. And then again, within that machinery, what gives you the best output? So we've visited before finalizing on the machinery. We've gone to exhibitions.
Like
we've gone to the Gulf Food. We've gone to the Ahar that happens once in a year at Delhi. So looked at machinery, looked at the output of the machinery in their stalls, and tried out various things and looked at reviews, and then we have finalized. So machinery is one thing, raw material is another thing. Then the processes, as you also mentioned, what happens if you keep it outside? Juice is made and kept it outside without refilling.
Right.
The taste changes. So handling it immediately. So one person doing watermelon juice will only do watermelon juice of this particular batch size only. They will not take 100 or 200 ka size and start working on it, because it's unless and until I make this ambience, upgrade it to become centrally air conditioned and things like that. Temperature monitoring systems are in place even within this thing. I will have to do all these things. So a lot of, one is machinery, raw materials, processes, hygiene. Hygiene is very important. Bottles also plays a major, we procure our bottles from one of the best preform suppliers. Preforms, the plastic that is used. It needs to be food grade. It needs to be BPA free.
Correct.
It needs to be airtight.
Right.
So all of those things matter. So every place we had to, it is a combination of multiple
small things, but very serious
that
things.
Comes together.
Right.
Yes.
As far as I see it, the single most biggest thing you're proud of is sorting out your suppliers, getting your suppliers and
definitely.
So can you walk us through a real bad day at Juice Bottle, like one that went terribly wrong, and what went wrong and how did you guys fix it?
Okay. So as every day is challenging in some way or the other.
Right.
So one of the incident that I can recall in the recent past, maybe in terms of the generator backup, because as I said, power backup is our lifeline for our business to keep running smoothly as much as possible. So after our first level of procurement of machinery, we did another round of procuring more machineries in terms of a lot of other things that have been added. The number of fridges have gone up. We had to, in terms of the processes, there's something called blast chilling. So we have invested on blast chillers. So as it went up, maybe somewhere initially when we assessed the capacity of the generator, it went wrong. So as we kept adding a few more things, somehow the generator gave up in between. So it was
Without
too much of back and fro with to and fro with the supplier, the service team. A lot of things, that was very, very challenging, because we do not have a security. We do not have production happening in the night. So something goes wrong in the night. If the generator doesn't start, what happened. So there was a time for 2-3 months, every now and then the generator servicing guys used to be here, the electrician used to be there. They used to do a lot of permutations and combinations where the connections, different distribution of phases, this, that, a lot of work used to happen. So it was, we just kind of sorted now. We're going for a bigger generator. So hopefully it will be.
And any other such incidents, like small accident?
We've got some machines from Spain. As I said,
Cold press machines?
Yeah, cold press machine were orange citrus juices, the one that you can see there. It's not completely fitted in.
Okay.
So it can handle oranges. As I said, it needs to be standard size. So it has got different accessories to it, which can handle different size of oranges, because Indian oranges are different. Indian orange is not standard size. If you look at an imported orange, it's all same size.
Right.
So it's just one particular accessory is enough. For this, you need different the sets that needs to be changed depending on the size. So my staff sort out and things like that. So once one of our staff had misplaced the component which needed. It was a big challenge, and then our machine supplier who was supplied didn't respond. We had to reach out to Spain, and it was so amazing that we reached out to them. The supplier who had given us the machinery in India didn't respond to us for a couple of months. Whereas when we reached out, we really lost our patience and reached out to the manufacturer in Spain. They responded to us. They air-shipped the items.
Wow.
Without any charging.
Nice. I didn't know the lemonade maker is such a complicated machines are involved. Like,
what people say is, one is of course the freshness that our juices give, and the other thing is citrus. If you make it at home, it always turns a little bitter. Ours do not turn bitter.
What is the secret?
Specific machinery.
Yes, okay.
The machinery and the process that is used.
So how do you think about waste in terms of leftover juice, unused fruit or errors?
Initially in the first year, we had problem. As I said, in the first monsoon, we had a lot of our juices going wasted and things like that. But from the very second year onwards, we have managed in terms of, we understood that is, it has to be always based on what is a trend, the past trend, historically, what is the data of sales that we have. So based on that only we need to produce. So we are well below the 1% wastage levels, thankfully.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
1%, to be very precise. Yes.
Brilliant. Yes. That is amazing.
So we have reached that stage. Okay. Yes.
So 1% of your produce goes to the waste. That's it.
Waste, that is in seasons like this. Yes.
Wow. So that is because you were able to predict the demand in advance accurately.
And then this 1% also includes sometimes what happens, as I said, a small piece of mango which was damaged has gone into it by mistake.
Then you have to recall all the...
Yeah, we have to recall all the things. So somewhere we get a complaint. So then we understand, okay, fine, this particular batch code, where all it has gone. So we inform and we recall. So that is also part of this.
But how do you guys manage contamination, microbial load? Like, if it has too many microbes, it can spoil.
As I said, immediate refrigeration, the processes, the smaller batch sizes is all, they're the ones that is helping.
Even a small, like you guys have built your reputation in 3 years or something like that. Even a small incident of contamination like salmonella or something like microbial can cause a huge damage to the brand reputation. So to maintain that, like even if you ignore 10 minutes in the processing can cause a huge difference, right? It can lead
to, yeah. So we are looking at, still exploring if any technology can help us. We were a little hesitant initially in terms of, there are technologies which can help us in terms of extending the shelf life. Pasteurization changes the taste, so we didn't want to go for it. And there are other processes like the high pressure processing and gamma irradiation and all those things, but we are still exploring. We've not reached a stage. Maybe if we are scaling to a tier 1 city, hopefully we have on the cards. I'm not really sure when, but maybe in a year or so, we need to invest on all those things. But our only thing is our USP, the core thing for our business is the taste and freshness.
Right. Quality, consistency problems, like each batch of fruit varies in sugar content, acidity, color, flavor. Your apple juice might taste completely different weeks to week if you don't actually blend varieties. Right, customers expect McDonald's kind of consistency, right? But you're working with the natural ingredients that change constantly. So you need quality control system to test every batch and potentially reject expensive fruit samples. So that is sorted, right?
That is sorted because every batch is tasted by the staff. If one of us is around, we taste. Otherwise, the staff taste
So you guys
it.
taste in the process.
We taste in the process. Our staff is mandated to taste everything. If something is wrong with the product, they have to dispose it off mandatorily. And they check the sugar levels. So they add the sugar depending on the natural fruit. So there are two different checkpoints in terms of checking the sugar, the fruit, just the fruit, how it tastes, at what level it is, to bring it to the next level, what is it that needs to be added.
Then production scheduling, you have constantly forecasting demand days ahead.
Right.
Overestimate, you are dumping expensive juice down the drain. Underestimate, and stores run empty, damaging relationships. Weekend demand patterns, weather changes, holiday make forecasting extremely difficult. So that is sorted now.
That is sorted. Yeah, we discussed about it.
So which is the most busiest day for the production?
It is March, April, and almost halfway through May.
Cold chain requirement. Every step from production to consumer requires refrigeration at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius.
Right.
Refrigerated trucks cost 3 to 5 times more than regular delivery. Power outages, equipment failures, delays can spoil entire shipments. You need backup power, redundant refrigeration, and insurance for temperature-sensitive cargo. That is sorted.
So we have recently invested in a refrigerated truck.
Cargo? Okay.
Earlier we were using ice boxes when we had only 2 vending machines and a few selling points. We were managing with ice boxes and ice. It was very challenging. We had to procure ice every day. The juices had to be filled, then ice has to be packed into it, and then it was a lot of challenge. The refiller staff has to lift it.
Right. And even the cost per bottle would go up, if you're shipping little products.
Ice procurement, all those things were adding on to it. So now finally we have, as we increase the number of vending machines, we recently invested on a refrigerated truck.
So that is sorted now.
That is sorted for Mangalore.
Mangalore, right.
But a cold chain to a different city is possible because there are trucks.
So if you were to expand to Bangalore, suppose now, would you move your production to Bangalore, separate production, or would you produce it in Mangalore and then rely on cold supply chain?
Yeah, at this point in time, what we have decided is that we will continue to do the production in Mangalore. We will have to invest on more machinery, better automation and things like that. But the juices would get produced here so that everything is controlled under one unit. Everything is centralized, and then because the quality and everything becomes easy to handle, and then we use a cold chain supply chain facility to transport it.
What is the radius do you think can work out, like one facility can cater to? Like Mangalore is close by,
here
like
is close
8
to a lot
hours.
of places. We can cater to Bombay, we can cater to Bangalore, we can cater to Kerala, till around Cochin, Goa. So all the nearby
Max
places.
is Bangalore from, Bombay from the north.
We can go Bombay because wherever we can transport overnight, we can cater to.
Right. So then inventory management complexity. So traditional first in, first out becomes critical. You need sophisticated tracking systems to ensure older inventory moves first. Stores need frequent deliveries and quick turnover. Any bottlenecks in your distribution creates waste. So that is sorted
whenever
with the
we are
vending
with the vending machine, it is sorted. At the production facility, we tag every batch is produced. They tag it when they are keeping it refrigerated. So when they are packing it, the first whatever is produced moves out fast.
Some retail pressure. So stores expect you to handle all the expired product returns and credits, and they will pull anything approaching expiration date, leaving you to absorb losses. Some retailers demand 60 to 70% of shelf life remaining on delivery, severely limiting your distribution radius. Since you've moved to a vending machine, that is not a big trouble.
That is not a big trouble. But in B2B, initially a few people used to feel that it doesn't move, but we have given them that 1 month of experimenting time. We help them out to try out. Okay, fine, if you're ordering 100 juices, how many days it takes for you to sell it out. So based on what moves in their counter, we started giving it to them. So we were with them initially in the first 1 month, experimenting with them. So we took the
losses.
initially. So they also came on board aligned with our philosophy of we do not take any returns from any of our reselling points, and they are okay with it.
This is my favorite yet.
Ginger, thank you.
I never expected.
Thank you.
Ginger lime, yeah. Tastes good. Food safety and regulation. So you need a dedicated quality assurance team, extensive testing protocols, and the ability to trace every ingredient back to its source. So how challenging? I mean, I don't think it's challenging to get a food license in India, right?
It is not challenging to get an FSSAI license. It is quite easy. You can do it yourself. It's an online application. If you want, you can also get an agent to do it for you. So that is not a problem in food license. But in terms of keeping up with the food regulations, it is mandatory. So FSSAI has got time to time, they've got, mandatory guidelines which comes up every year. They have, guidelines which comes out saying that your label needs to be like this. There is a font size that needs to be used for certain, listing ingredients, nutritional information has to be like this. You cannot make such claims. A lot of those regulations we need to be updated with.
So pasteurization challenges. Fresh juice often requires pasteurization to kill harmful bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella. But pasteurization affects taste, color, and nutritional content, the very qualities customers want from fresh juice. Finding the right balance requires expensive equipment and extensive testing. Since you guys don't apply pasteurization, it doesn't.
We don't do pasteurization, but as you said, we are not doing it because of the taste and quality changes.
So you have supplemented that with the cold press, and
cold press and the refrigeration systems, and a lot of in terms of how we handle each of the batch sizes.
Yeah, facility requirement. Processing facilities need positive air pressure, specialized drainage, food grade surfaces, and separate areas for raw materials and finished products. Regular deep cleaning and sanitization requires shutting down productions. Recall procedures. You must be able to recall every bottle within hours if contamination is suspected. This requires tracking systems linking each bottle to specific fruit batches, production runs, distribution routes. Recalls can cost hundreds of thousands in logistics alone, plus destroyed inventory and brand image. That you guys have sorted.
It is thankfully with the vending machines in place. So we've got every vending machine, what is the batch that has gone into it, which day it has been produced. So every information is available on the vending machine. So if there is a problem, so we know which are the machines, having it.
Right.
So otherwise, in the other counters, if there's any complaint, immediately we get a call.
Right.
So then we know where is the problem.
Equipment investment, another thing, like you have to, every upgrade is very expensive upgrades, right?
Yeah. Over the last 3 years, we've managed with, as I said, very compact machineries and things like that. But if we really have to scale up to a bigger city, then we need to have bigger machinery.
Okay. Then big brand dominance. Companies like Tropicana, Simply, and Naked have massive marketing budgets, establishing retail relationships and economics of scale.
Yes.
They can afford prime shelf placements, promotional pricing, celebrity endorsements. They have resources to weather supply chain disruption that might bankrupt small companies. Then price competition. Consumers often view juice as a commodity. They will choose a 30 rupees option over 60 rupees option unless you clearly communicate value.
Right.
Grocery stores use juice as a loss leaders, selling below cost to attract customers. This creates pricing pressure throughout the category.
So, but I think people are becoming more health conscious. People have started reading labels thanks to the
influencers out there.
Yeah, the influencer. People are becoming more conscious, and especially with COVID, people are looking at what they're eating and drinking. So that has helped us a lot. So they know with our juices we do not add all unwanted
more
things.
The customer, more benefit to you.
We are giving taste with something good for our customers,
Right.
We're not giving unhealthier things. So customers are aware of that. And so that's the awareness we've been able to create in a small market like Mangalore. So we need to keep working on it. So competition is always there, but the market is so huge. And even the predicted for growth is also quite huge for the next 10 years almost. So there is enough space for everybody. That's how it is.
That's the beauty of free markets.
Yes.
Because most people, they just sip a juice, but behind that bottle is a whole choreography. Machines are humming, people solving supply chain puzzles, experiments are running, fruits getting sorted, clean, crushed, bottled, labeled, and chilled.
Yes.
Nobody sees them, like nobody sees the complexity. They just enjoy the taste. So I want to understand how this all works. Not because it's geeky or cool, it's because every little decision from a machinery to the logistics is a reflection of how a startup works. So take us inside what really goes on behind the scenes at Juice Bottle. Walk me through what happens from the moment fruit enters your facility to when it becomes a juice bottle.
Okay. So the previous day is when we place the order for the
Fruit,
next day.
okay.
Yeah. It's like a T+1 kind of a thing. So we do our prediction forecasting as to what needs to be ready, what needs to be produced for that day. Based on that, we have, if these many 1,500 bottles of juice needs to be produced tomorrow, then for each of the fruit, what is the quantity of fruit that is required, and we also know day end what is the stock in terms of fruit that is left. So we do our purchase accordingly, keeping a little bit of buffer so that in case any last minute events and
Demand
things come,
spike.
demands come, we need to cater to that as well. So we do the production planning.
Forecasting
and-
happens first.
Yes, the production planning plus the purchase planning happens together. So the production planning gives you a sense of as to what is the quantity of fruits that are required. So that goes to our vendor. The next day it comes. As soon as it comes, the first job the staff do is, there's a dedicated staff who checks each item that has come in. So every day they take from the bags that it comes in, they remove it and put it in the crate, handling each fruit. So they know the quality.
So what are the fruits you guys handle now?
We deal with only seasonally available fruits.
Mango.
Nothing very exotic. No fruits like berries and kiwi
Dragon fruit.
and dragon fruit. We tried, but it didn't really move that well because it's slightly premium in terms of pricing. So it didn't move that well. So we have phased it out. But otherwise, we work with currently, if I have to talk about it, is mango, pineapple, watermelon, grapes, Mossambi,
Lime.
Lemon is always
Yeah.
there. Lemon, and there are some juices
Kokum.
like grapes, lemon, kokum, mango panna, panak. All those things are always there. It is throughout the year. Even fruits like watermelon is throughout the year.
Right.
But then there are things like
Muskmelon is there?
yeah, muskmelon is again sometimes it's not available, sometimes it's available. Pineapple has some seasonalities. Orange and Mossambi and mango, they've got a lot of
Seasonality.
seasonal variations. Yeah. And these are orange, Mossambi and mango are our season specific highest selling
Right.
items also.
So your staff is trained to see defects in all the fruits.
Yes. They look at all the fruits. In fruits like watermelon, unless there is a damage outside, we will not know.
Okay.
So that is only at the time of cutting it open, you will know what is things. Otherwise, all
Nobody
the other
knows.
fruits, any damage externally, they will sort it out based on that. So they wait against to what was ordered, what has been
Okay.
received,
So
and then
somebody
if there
goes
is a
there
damage.
and process the fruits
Yes.
first. Fruits.
So that's what happens, and then based on the production planning that has been given to the thing, so one staff takes out all the recipes. So one person will do one particular juice. So it happens, in turns.
Right.
So like let's say that 8 of them are working on 8 different juices. So as and when whoever finishes first will go to the next juice. So
Okay.
at a time they will process only one juice. So right from the labeling and batch code will happen simultaneously. So once the recipes are out, you know what is the number of bottles for each of the juices. So somebody will be doing the labeling part and the batch coding
the
part. So
spot,
the
okay.
bottles are ready by the time fruits is cleaned, cut and processed. So that immediately it can be refrigerated. So that's what happens. So in between, then there are a lot of things like checking the sugar levels, checking the quality of
Those are
the
important.
cut fruits, keeping things clean, washing of things that they've taken. So it's watermelon they've done. You used one cold press juicer. The next person is using pineapple. So before that, it has to be cleaned up. So a lot of all those processes also keep happening. So you can't keep it just like that. You need to clean up. Cleaning up also has to happen simultaneously. one thing that we're looking at is grape. Grape is one of the fast selling product for us.
Okay.
So it is a lot of, we've not really found a machinery which can handle that yet. Then another
And you
thing
said
that
a grape is the hardest juice to make.
hardest, a lot
Why
of
it's
manual
hardest?
intervention
Just because there's a pulp
we are adding
involved?
pulp to it. Because of that, it has to be done manually. Deseeding and depulping has to be done manually.
Oh, you have to de-seed the grape also
Deseed the
before
grapes
adding
and
the pulp.
yes. So the pulping, that part takes a long time. So that's one of the process that we're
You guys do
looking
it
at.
manually, de-pulp and de-seeding?
Yes.
Oh
yes,
my
yes,
God,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
How much are you guys selling the grape juice for?
We are selling it currently
MRP?
for 80 rupees. Yeah.
Okay. So what piece of machinery you had to fight for or figure out from scratch?
We had to figure out as to what is the brand or what's the company that we need to
And
go
what
with.
exactly the
What is
machinery you need?
Yeah, we had to take some time, talk to people, visit, as I said, exhibitions and understand, look how the machines work and think like that. But machinery per se, we have not fabricated anything from scratch yet. So that comes in when maybe completely everything is end to end,
Right.
something is automated, then we will need the lines,
Right.
how it needs to be processed. Yeah.
Right. So do you still run experiments like tweaking pH, shelf life, packaging on the products?
When we are coming up with a new juice, we definitely have to work on the shelf life and all these parameters that you've spoken about. But otherwise, for the existing juices, we didn't have to work because once it was set, it is working fine.
Okay.
Some of the juices we have phased out because something which doesn't work, doesn't move that fast. As I mentioned, dragon fruit was an example. So we had come up, star fruit juice was one thing. So we had even introduced immunity shots. But
Like-
it was not really moving that
What
fast.
are they made from?
It was immunity shot. We had amla shots, as in with gooseberry. So it's high in iron and in a
Okay.
very small bottles.
Like a
We had-
what was that? Chawanprash.
Not Chawanprash, it was immunity, the juice only, amla gooseberry juice. Then we had tried out turmeric shots. So these are all immunity building and the
Right,
inflammatory
right.
drinks that we have tried out. But then we realized that it is to make it, it's not giving us justifiable batch size to do it. Just
Right,
to
right.
sell maybe 15-20 bottles in a day, we didn't have to make it. So if it is selling in hundreds or something like that, then we need to
Right,
work on it. So something which was not working out, making business sense, we have phased out also.
Any new fruit you're working on? Any new recipe?
Right now it is more of business expansion as to more locations that we
innovation.
are hunting for than more products.
Right. So you have set products. You know what
Right
sells.
now we've
and,
got set
okay.
products according to the seasonality.
Have you ever had a bottle taste totally different and then realized it was because of one small scientific mistake? Has that happened to you?
Initially, we had problems with pineapple. During monsoon season, pineapple sometimes comes with water. Already has gone into the
Right,
fruit.
right,
It becomes
right,
very
right.
watery. Then the tendency to fermentation happen. The taste totally changes. So all those things have happened. But then now we know when to procure what. So at what
So
point
in monsoon,
time.
you guys don't do
So,
pineapple.
We do pineapple, and now our supplier also knows not to send such kind of pineapples. So he also does one level of sorting and then sends it.
Now get into the most interesting part, unit economics. Okay. So I want to understand the pricing. So do you guys price a similar thing for every juice or
No, we
depends on
have
the
different pricing. So definitely based on the cost of production, cost of
delicacy
what
and
has
everything,
gone into
right?
it.
What is the most expensive pricing you have for your product?
For our milkshakes. So
Kesar Badam?
Kesar Badam, mango milkshake. So all of those are being sold at 130.
Okay, we'll come to that mango as the reference example.
Okay.
So if we take that bottle, whole thing,
Yeah.
we'll remove the pricing layer by layer, how much it goes for raw material, processing cost, bottling cost, distribution cost, and what is the profit margin. Yes.
That is, I think, in the books.
In the book. Okay, now you are raising capital and investor loved your product and loved your balance sheet. and gave you 1 crore tomorrow, where would the money go?
It will easily be absorbed into our business because we have got already lined up a set of machineries that we need to purchase in terms of upgrading our production facility.
Which machinery specifically?
It has to be a hydraulic cold press.
Okay. What does it do actually? How does it help you in the juice
better
production?
Output, better quantity, as in you can manage the in terms of the quantity of fruits that can go into that and can be pressed at a time is high. Another thing is building up this facility to be more temperature controlled in terms of it's not ambient. Right now it's at ambient temperature with a lot of other things running to cool it down. But if it needs to be air conditioned, that's one investment that we will definitely look at.
Pressure controllers? I mean, those, what do you call that? Liquid pressure?
Hydraulic press. So it will be 25 lakhs plus. We need to expand. We need to set up a bigger facility. So we'll have to, we have space available, but we need to set up the facility in terms of
increasing the production number, doubling the production.
Doubling or tripling the production. That if we have to go to a tier 1 city, then we need to have
production
twice the capacity of what we are having right now. So, every machine adding will add on to generator backup.
Right.
Machinery will itself absorb. We need to have more machinery. Like if I have one citrus juicer, I may need to have another citrus juicer. So that will take. So then we have HPP kind of processing. That is a very heavy investment. So 1 crore also may not be enough for that.
Right.
So
have you guys thought of raising capital for expanding? And how much?
We are thinking of, because we are at a stage where we've already raised debt from the bank almost 3 times now. So it's time that we need to
external capital.
Yes, access capital, which will give better scope for scalability. So it will not bind us to think small little. I think it will give us more wings to fly and dream bigger and execute things. It will speed up, accelerate the entire process.
What would be the ideal investment, do you think, to expand to Bangalore? If investor is watching this and he can give a straight away call.
I've not really worked on a number,
but
because
just
I'll
approximation.
have to sit and
So you
work
said,
on each perspective.
Okay, I'll try to shoot the number.
So we'll need minimum of 5 crores, 5 CRs to invest on machinery,
marketing,
the processing to extend the shelf life,
labor.
Then vending machines. Because if we need to go to Bangalore, in Bangalore right now we've got 26 machines, so we are looking at another between double it up to 50 maybe in Bangalore and between Bangalore and Manipal. Here in Bangalore and Manipal, so this place only we are able to handle 50. Then in Bangalore we'll need 3 times, 4 times of this. So that vending machines, investment will add on to it. Automation will take a long time, because I said right now it's not completely automated. Bottling will come in, automatic bottling, filling, all those things.
Those things will be later investment, probably after you guys prove the Bangalore and Bombay market.
We need to have bottling has to be done immediately. If you have to go to a city like Bangalore, we need to have automatic.
You guys need
filling.
Automatic filling, right?
Yes. Automatic filling has to be has to be completely
again
done.
Research time. Again, you have to go back to the supplier who will do the
yes. We need to do a lot of work around it. But as you said, it's
the next phase of business. Yes, you were saying something. Sorry, I disrupted you.
No, that's it. Yeah, as you said, it gives us
wings to fly.
Your question brings us to think more as to what is required and what is the amount that we need to ask for.
Ambitions are big. I think I've done gained a lot of wisdom here on understanding what really takes to run a startup like this, run a fresh fruit juice company. What's ahead? What is the immediate plan? This is my last question. So your plan, your experiment in the Tier 2 city in Mangalore is successful, I feel.
Yeah.
So you got a real review from the customer. You get repeated customer orders.
Right.
So where next? What next?
Immediate thing is that already some discussion is underway for Manipal. So we are having some plans of installing some machines there. Manipal is a different market
Okay.
from Mangalore.
Right.
The kind of customers that are there are different, especially considering the student, a
Gen Z
cosmopolitan
generation,
student. Yes,
right.
yes. So it's a different target segment. So that's the immediate plan. As I said, in a year's time, we are also working on our pitch decks and things, just starting to work on all of it. So if everything goes as per plan, because last year we closed the year as per our plan. So
Must feel so good then.
yeah, it really feels so good. So if everything goes as how it is right now and as what we are planning, and funding, raising fund and everything happens in the right direction, in a year's time, Bangalore is the plan. A lot of work is there.
Tier
It's
one
a
city.
bigger market. It's not a market. I mean,
New
we are
test.
familiar, but we are familiar from a distance, but not like how Mangalore is. Mangalore is more a close-knitted market, so there are a lot of work, a lot more team needs to be built. A lot of marketing has to be done.
Right.
Our social media, everything has to be built up to that level to capture the audience there. So it's a lot of work.
And also, you're not sure what if demand suddenly peaks and your production is not capable to
Yes, so
handle the
that's
demand.
what. That's what. So if we're going to Bangalore, then we
Right.
really have to,
At
build
least,
up the traction and
5
build
times
up
the
things
production.
here. We need to have things in place.
Right,
So that's
right.
why we have to take time and go.
Thank you so much for your time. It was nice
Thank-
talking to you.
Thank you so much, Clinton. It was nice
Yes.
talking to you as well.